You're muted.
Sorry. This is episode 73 of Empty the Bench. Nick Morgasen here with Tom Albano. So let's just get right into it. We have a lot of NBA to talk about, a lot of stuff that Nick here is going to be blowing up with. Also, Tatis Jr. and that mega extension. Carson Wentz getting traded. So just a whole lot of stuff we got. So let's just get right into it. Draymond Green is our top story. Well, we have several NBA top stories here, but let's break it down part by part. Let's start with Draymond Green and his remarks about player trades in the NBA.
Yeah, so Draymond Green in the post-game show after, I think it was early on in the week, basically came out and said the NBA has a BS double standard when it comes to in regards to player trades. And basically what happens is what he's talking about is players will be sitting on the bench and literally they'll be sitting in street clothes, not playing, or if they choose not to play, like a James Harden who basically was breaking all the rules and the NBA protocols because he didn't want to be with the Houston Rockets anymore. And eventually he got his way or cried his way out of Houston to eventually end up in a Brooklyn Nets uniform. So I guess what he essentially means is that there's a double standard, whether you're a star or you're not a star, and you basically get the treatment that you want to get.
Yeah. Well, let's call a spade a spade. What happened with James Harden down in Houston was pretty the word that Draymond Green has used to describe the situation.
Well, it's kind of ironic that Draymond is speaking out about double standard when he's probably broken every rule when it comes to technical fouls and playing dirty in the game like a bunch of other players are. So it's kind of double standard in his own regard.
Well, he's not talking about playing. He's talking about playing, but not in that sense. He's talking about playing as in, oh, we're going to hold out certain players when we're discussing trades with them. We're not going to let them play because we don't want to risk the value of them getting injured.
Right. That's the whole Blake Griffin saga that's going on right now with the Pistons, where they basically said to him, look, you're staying in street clothes, you're not playing until we figure out if you're getting traded and going somewhere else. So,
which I don't know. Is the NBA really the only sport that we see something like this? I can't think of many examples in the MLB or the NFL that we see this.
Well, in the NFL, you would have the holdout situation like you do with like a Deshaun Watson, where if he doesn't get traded, he eventually might end up sitting out the player.
That's holdout, but that's holdout. That's the player holding out. This is a case of a team saying you're not going to play because we're trying to trade you. That's different.
Agreed, but at the same time, I think the NBA needs to work out its issues, and we're going to talk about a lot of the issues the NBA has, and actually we have a surprise down the line in this episode too, which you might enjoy. The NBA has a lot of standards issues, whether it comes to trades, whether it comes to the COVID protocol situation, where players are breaking protocol when it comes to how do I protect myself from the virus? Who am I allowed to have with me when it comes to being at a game or not being at a game? And just the NBA has a lot of standards issues.
Yeah, a lot of standards issues, a lot of COVID issues, which I'd say a lot of COVID issues in terms of, I'm not sure if players getting COVID, but trying to do things as normal in a COVID-ridden season when it seems pretty damaging so far what it's done.
Well, COVID has been such an issue to the point where players have come out and basically said, I don't want to do a PSA for the vaccine. Yeah. And
all right, so let's get to that one, and let's get to let's recap a little bit of how we got to this point. So obviously we've had several NBA teams basically have been stricken by COVID basically in one way or another, whether it's because they actually have COVID cases or they got in close contact with somebody on the team management, like a coach or a facilities person got COVID, and then they've been in close contact with the players. So it's led to several. I say, where are we at? Over 30 postponements so far.
Close to, or probably actually, it's probably over because I saw a couple of games were postponed, and I think was it the Spurs? I think that lost about 4 or 5 games.
All right, so we're over 30. We're but we're inching closer to 40.
Yeah, and well, it also didn't help that there was a massive superstorm down in Houston and in the Texas area, which Texas hasn't seen that much snow since 1800. So,
well, I was going to say, when there's a dusting of snow here, nobody seems to bat an eye. When there's a dusting of snow in Texas, everyone loses their goddamn minds.
Well, yeah, let's get something clear. So, I think the NHL games were canceled, the NBA games were canceled.
Yep.
A lot of things were canceled and moved around, and that's not helping the NBA with already all the COVID cancellations that have already happened. So now they got to add power outage and issues of travel to their issues of postponement.
Correct. So the NBA, and we'll get to the All-Star game in just a second here, but the NBA basically had used an All-Star break without an All-Star game. It was going to be 5 days in March because, they weren't going to release a second half schedule as well, all because of COVID, just because in case of any postponements, in case of, any issues with the team, it was going to allow the teams to basically reset those 5 days, and then they would go from the second half of the schedule from that point on. But of course, we'll get to that part in a second. But the vaccine itself, well, obviously, if you've watched the news, they have had NBA legends, people who are eligible for the vaccine, like namely Bill Russell, Popovich, basically promote the vaccine and get the vaccine themselves for COVID. But there were rumors going around as much as I think a month ago that the NBA was thinking about going against what it had originally said at the start of the season, and were looking into possibly jumping the line in order to get the vaccine.
Enough with these jumping the lines. I mean, I know they have the money, and we've discussed this many times, that all the sports have billions of dollars, where if they really wanted to jump the line, they really could. They could have bought enough vaccines to end world hunger if they wanted to. But they're not going to. Well, if they knew better, they wouldn't, because their reputation will go from 1,000 to 0, which in the NBA, we've probably gone from 1,000 to 100 already. Yeah, 1,000 to 100 at this point. Because I said this to you the other day, like when they had the China situation, that knocked them down a few pegs. Then you had the Black Lives Matter movement, that knocked the NBA down another peg. And now you have the COVID situation, which is totally knocking them down.
Well, the Black Lives Matter situation, I think, is more split along the line. I would say you have a lot of people who did support that, so I'm not exactly sure if that was necessarily taken down as much as the China situation, or either of those situations are as damaging as the NBA trying to play this season as normal, leaving the bubble and looking at exactly what the hell is going on around the league, between players being upset, Adam Silver making some very questionable decisions, Adam Silver ruining his own reputation, I think worse than his league's reputation.
See, and I have the quotes from Adam Silver. You and I went back and forth on this story quite a bit when Adam Silver came out and made his statements. It's a global event for us, and we're making our best efforts to embrace all aspects of our league to the extent we can go through the pandemic, and this is just one more opportunity to do so. Shut up, Adam Silver.
But yeah, well, first of all, as we said already, we've already talked about this, last month when that story first broke out. If the NBA jumps the line, I'm going to make damn sure that the NBA will never be talked about again for the rest of this season on this show. I will refuse any. I'll say if you want to, you guys can. I will refuse to. I will refuse.
Wait a minute. I agreed with you. Remember, I agreed with you that if this happens, that I'll stop talking about it too.
Okay.
I mean, just reading through the rest of this story, and it hurts because Adam Silver is kind of towing the line on both sides. all right, we want our players to be safe, but at the same time, we need to play because we need to make money and we need to make ratings.
And at the same time, I guess this part falls into that latter part. But and at the same time, we also, as part of being safe, we want our players to be vaccinated. But even though there are so many other people out there in the world who deserve that vaccine more than NBA and just athletes in general.
Right. And the vaccine, well, and we have an interesting thing we're going to share, which I think will totally show you how much of a joke the NBA actually is, because they keep saying, we want the players to do PSAs on vaccines, but the players are kind of, as you have on the graphic, hesitant to promote it.
I would say, hesitant in a couple of factors. If I remember Woj's story correctly, first of all, let's talk about the good side of it. Yet the players are calling out Adam Silver on his BS.
Right.
They're calling Adam Silver out and saying how terrible of an idea it is. And if they do decide to do that, they're going to harm the league's reputation if they jump the line for the vaccine. But now on the flip side, there's, let's face it, the NBA has a lot more, I would say it's comprised of mostly black male athletes. And if you look at the statistics, I remember reading a Yahoo story that quoted these statistics, and I think Woj even quoted the statistics that African Americans, I think mainly males, I'm not exactly sure on the gender aspect, African Americans are the most, untrustworthy of the COVID vaccine. So at the same time, like, fellas, when it's your turn, I would say, first of all, you're doing a good job at telling Adam Silver to suck it and not to participate in this thing. But when it is your turn, take the vaccine. I understand the concerns about everything, but come on, we're so close. We can get to normalcy very soon if everybody.
You know what's interesting about this whole thing? Just reading back in the article, there will be no fans in attendance outside of about 1,000 from the local HBCU.
We keep going back to this, so let's go to this. So Adam Silver is saying that the NBA All-Star Game, having it is the right thing to do. So basically, like you were saying before, if you reading that quote, Adam Silver believing that it's part of the regular season process, and therefore we should have an All-Star Game. So now the mayor of Atlanta, which I forget her name.
I have it right here.
Lance Bottoms. That's an unfortunate last name to have.
Well, it could be worse. You could be the butt of the joke. People are not going to understand that, but yeah.
That's still a very, very unfortunate last name. I'm apologize. I'm sad I'm laughing at her name because she's right in every regard, and that there should be no fans. They should not be partying.
We're missing something here.
Okay, let's get to that. So then Adam Silver says, "Oh, she's absolutely right. We're not going to sell any tickets, even though the All-Star Game is what is traditionally an All-Star Game across the sports world. It is a game.
It's a game about the fans.
Exactly. The fan participation, the voting, the fans getting to see all the big stars when they go out there, the fans getting to see all the big stars on TV. It is a game about the stars and about the fans. You're going to have the stars there, but the stars are going to be very unhappy, and you're going to have no fans in attendance.
So the 1,000 people that are going to be are going to be there, as I started to say, from the HBCU, which the NBA is donating money to. So they're going to allow 1,000 people to come in. But the quote says, "We don't want people to gather for events around this All-Star Game. There will be absolutely no social functions in Atlanta, no ticketed events, no parties. It is a made-for-television event."
No social interactions and parties that they can control. They can't exactly control if, a group of 10 people gather around and want to watch the All-Star Game together in somebody's house. What are they going to be? They're going to have, I don't know, NBA-style security drones checking all over Atlanta to make sure nobody is gathered around.
That was like if people who are not from New York, that was like when Governor Cuomo came out about Thanksgiving and said if you have more than 10 people, like they're going to send in the publicity police to find you.
As we're going to be spying on everybody. We're going to make sure nobody is gathered. But we can have no fans will be in attendance for this, but we can have, like I said, the 1,000 HBCU thing. I mean, that's nice, but that's nice. And, the players, I believe, are allowed to have family there. I'd say they're
long time, close personal friends.
And trainers. But it's like, I don't know. The NBA is just coming off as major, major hypocrites.
But, and a lot of people are not going to understand this. You and I will when I make this point. Why are they holding the game in Atlanta?
Because it's Turner.
Okay, so for most people,
Charles Barkley called them out on this,
right?
As much as Barkley's been on my bad side about because of the whole vaccine thing from last month, Barkley's right. Call a spade for what it is. They're holding it in Atlanta because look at it. It's so easy. Turner Sports is headquartered there. It's convenience. I mean, the WWE has the Thunderdome and everything in Florida, where most of their base is.
That's what they did right out of the pandemic, right?
Basically, yeah.
So
the difference is the WWE isn't going around, like after their Florida stuff, they're not going around to all 50 states trying to, play basketball.
See, and for most people, like I said, are not going to understand this. So, like you said, the game is in Atlanta. That's where the Turner Studios are. That's where TNT is. So obviously they are looking at the money aspect, the business aspect. Now, we talked about the order. So I think we said the 3-point contest is before the game. And
this is a skills competition.
Right. And then the dunk contest is at halftime. Like, what is this? So that essentially means is that means players who are in the game can't essentially participate in the competition.
I mean, on a technicality, they can, but like I said, they were going to have nothing. This was going to be a pure 5-day break for teams and players to basically reset themselves. But now you're going to have, I assume these players are going to be pressured to participate in these kinds of events. So now all of a sudden, I'm just saying, they risk, losing some of their rest. Plus, I mean, I just don't understand. Oh, the slam dunk competition. The slam dunk competition, was always held on like Saturday, as was the skills and the 3-point. And they were kind of more the priority than the All-Star game was, especially that slam dunk contest. Now you're going to have the slam dunk contest at halftime and you're relegating the skills competition to before. You have basically relegated the prestige of All-Star weekend, or in this case, All-Star Day. Plus the fact you're not going to, as far as I know, not going to have a rookie-sophomore game.
No, because they can't be down there for as many days as they want to be.
And the same goes for the celebrity game. I'm just saying, the All-Star game somehow, I guess it's kind of maybe changing a little bit last season, this season, because the whole Kobe tribute, the whole 24 that they're trying to put into the score, they're bringing that back for a second year. So
I happen to like the way they do the fourth quarter in the All-Star game now, that you have to get to a score, because that'll make the game go by a little bit quicker in the fourth quarter, as opposed to just everyone throwing up dunks and 3-point shots.
Right, but at the same point, like I said, as much as, the All-Star game, I'd say as much as the All-Star game has the big stars, has everybody, like you said, doing the dunks, doing, all the big names out there scoring, the slam dunk contest, the 3-point contest, especially the slam dunk contest, a lot of the skills stuff is the life of, the breath of the show, of that weekend, which is now going to be relegated into a day. And you're taking out 2 events, you're relegating the biggest one to halftime, and the other 2 are just going to be before it again. This is not the same All-Star game.
No, and I think we should play.
Yeah, let's play this.
So I'm going to set this up. So we decided to make the rules for the NBA because since Adam Silver can't control his own league, we decided here's a perfect PSA to understand how the All-Star weekend should be handled.
Obviously, there haven't been any commercials for a legitimate PSA so far, so we decided to make one for us.
This is a parody. I want to make that clear because I don't need the NBA coming after us.
It's a parody. It's absolutely. But
yeah, go ahead.
Let's play it. It's a parody. What's the NBA going to do to us that they haven't done to themselves?
Is a public service announcement from the NBA's Board of Health. Please note this was made without the consent or input of the NBA or its owners, namely LeBron James.
was perfect.
I mean, come on now. I mean, it's I put a plot twist on that, which the guys didn't know, and I found the NBA Cares song.
And you're right, they do care. They care about themselves. So, Nick, I want to end this, not the episode, but just the NBA discussion before we get into the other smaller headlines of this week. Ever since the China situation, like we said, it seems like the past couple of seasons, the NBA has gone from, yes, I threw this graphic here myself, the NBA was in a prime position to, I'll say it seemed like they already overtaken baseball, but maybe even overtake football. They were the top growing sport in America. And it seemed like within a few years, if the NFL continued in its ways and the NBA continued in its ways, the NBA was going to overtake the NFL. Well, it seems like the last couple of seasons, the NBA has fallen back in place as number 2 or number 3 in the world. Why?
I mean,
why have they been unraveling at the seams, like it says?
I mean, the NBA, like I started to say, well, they had the China issues. They had the, like I said, the BLM movement issues at first, trying to figure out how they were going to handle. Then they have the COVID vaccine and Charles Barkley coming out and making his dumb shit statements about that. The
NBA, I mean, instituting COVID protocols, but trying to play a season like normal, leaving the bubble.
And on top of that, they should have never left the bubble. Never.
I'd say they couldn't even do what the NHL is doing with the regional play only, which the MLB did last season. Like I've said it before on the show, and I explained it a little better in terms of the MLB season that is coming up. So the NHL, yeah, they have their COVID issues, but everything is locked to regional play, and it's going to be locked into regional play until the semifinals of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, right. They have Canada, and then they have the regions here.
Right.
So.
The MLB is going to proceed as normal for 2021. Well, first of all, for 2021 spring training, they're limiting, I'd say it's basically 5-6 team divisions basically for spring training. And there's going to be no games against colleges like there normally are.
It's basically so like the Twins and the Red Sox are both at Fort Myers. It's basically teams that share spring training facilities.
Or close to in proximity, which, you know what, fine, because spring training. It's just getting ready for the season. It's helping teams narrow down their rosters and everything. And I'm sorry to continue on, but but as and yes, there is a big risk because they're going to continue on like normal. Let's face it, in the World Series, the bubble popped with the Justin Turner situation, but at the same rate,
it's not a bubble. It's really not a bubble.
It's not a bubble.
And that's the problem here. So with the NBA All-Star Game, they're saying, first of all, the one thing we left out is in attempts to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the NBA is requiring players to self-quarantine at home with limited expectations. Wait for it. From February 27th to March 6th, there are still games being played.
I was going to say, so we need clarification because let's face it, LeBron and KD are going to be the captains of the team. So if the Nets or the Lakers are playing a game I don't know the NBA schedule off the top of my head because I'm not the biggest follower, but on the 28th or March 2nd, that means LeBron and KD can't play. I think teams are going to be a lot more concerned about playing in, the regular season games. I'd say as much as we say the postseason games matter a lot more than the regular season games, that the teams are still going to want those higher seedings and everything. So,
yeah, but so you're asking LeBron, KD, Giannis, I could go on and on and on, all the stars. You're asking them to say, all right, don't play for a week so you can play.
But I'm saying, so a major ratings problem season, you're going to have a stretch of games in which the stars aren't going to play. That seems really bad on the NBA's part, and especially when you consider, like we just said, the All-Star Game doesn't exactly matter as much in terms of prestige and everything this year because of the COVID.
The NBA All-Star Game is an absolute freaking joke over the last couple of years. No one cares. The reason they implemented the scoring limit in the fourth quarter is because they're trying to get people to watch the game. It's like watching the NFL Pro Bowl that they had to start putting in trampolines and stuff because people don't watch. The NBA All-Star Game, I remember when the dunk competition back in the day was the thing to watch with Michael Jordan, Vince Carter.
Okay, but my point was, I think it's very hypocritical when you consider, a little thing in the NBA called load management because your networks complained when all the big stars. No, but I'm saying, but if you're gonna tell the big stars to sit out, you're gonna have ESPN, TNT crying, "Hey, we have this big matchup, on the 27th or on the 1st. What we want our stars."
I mean, we can go back to a time when Kawhi kept sitting out of every other game because of load management, like you said, and networks were complaining because he was the big commodity. I mean, we saw that when the season first started, they thought LeBron was going to sit out like 15, 20 games because he already won the title he was coveting with the Lakers.
And the same to go with Anthony Davis.
Well, Anthony Davis is now hurt officially, so that's a whole different issue. But
yeah, but my point is, the NBA just looks like massive hypocrites with almost everything that they do.
I'll give you one more, and then we'll move on, which is the one hypocritical thing that Adam Silver said. The mental health toll on the league's players, coaches, and staff throughout last season's bubble is not lost on him. Really? It isn't? The mental health is not taking its toll? You haven't lost that, Adam?
You're using a social issue to as a shield to what is actually an economic issue. Like, you care about the economics, and you're just pushing the social aspect of it.
And what people don't realize, when you were in the bubble, you were in a protected environment where people were in there the whole time. You're actually traveling around during the COVID virus, which is why you're seeing more positives.
I was going to say, hi, just in case you're wondering, there's some of us here who have been following the rules for like 11 months straight and are getting very, very tired and exhausted. When meanwhile, you guys were locked in fucking Disney World. You were in Disney. Come on.
I hate to say this, but I got COVID at my former workplace because they didn't know how to follow the rules. That's my point. So you're traveling around the whole country, going to different arenas, going to different places, trying to keep these players safe when, in essence, they can't protect their own bodies.
And I'll resume my point from before. MLB is going to be traveling all around, and it's going to be a very big risk. But at the same point, you're there, what? You play a 3-game series, a 4-game series, maybe even just a 2-game. So you're not traveling as often. The NFL, you're not traveling as often because you have 8 home games and you only play 1 game a week unless you're playing on Thursday. But if you play on Thursday, you don't play for more than a week. The NBA, and I've said this before, you could be in New York on Sunday and then you travel to Philadelphia Tuesday and stay in Philadelphia Thursday and then move to Detroit Saturday and then you're in Milwaukee Monday.
Someone's bound to test positive in that stretch, which is what's been happening. Look at the Spurs. The Spurs had 4 or 5 positive tests on a road trip. They lost 5 games. So, I don't know. And believe it or not, this is going to come out of my mouth. The NFL handled the COVID situation better than the NBA.
I agree. I think, you know what? I will say something which might be a little, I can't believe it's coming out of my mouth. I think Adam Silver's done it. I think he's topped Goodell. I think he's the worst.
It's debatable, but I could see why.
If he's not the worst, then him and Rob Manfred are in great competition to overtake him.
You know what's sad? Like, we're just seeing commissioners compete for the worst commissioner in all of sports because they don't know how to control their own leagues when it comes to this whole COVID situation. I mean, we're going into Major League Baseball just for one array here, which they want to go from playing 60 to 162, and they have to do the same traveling issue that the NBA has.
I think someday we got to come up with we need like a point system to determine the worst commissioner in sports. We need a system or something.
Are we going to get our own Mount Rushmore for worst commissioners in sports?
I mean, I think the 4 that we have right now are a perfect Mount Rushmore.
You know what the weird part is? We don't even hear Gary Bettman's name anymore, which is kind of scary.
Which I was going to say, Gary Bettman, I think is the cleanest and is the number 1 out of everybody right now.
I never thought I'd see the day where Gary Bettman was the one that was sailing right now.
Neither did I. I say that and I have the outdoor game right now on my television. All right, so I'd say we have a few more smaller headlines to go over, so let's do that now in the last 10-15 minutes. So let's talk about this. The Padres, Tatis Jr., perhaps one of the biggest contract extensions I have ever seen minus Mike Trout. A 14-year, $300+ million contract extension for Fernando Tatis Jr., which Tatis Jr. is an incredible player. He is slowly turning into the face of baseball, but god damn, that payroll that the Padres are going to have over the next couple of seasons.
I was about to say, when did the Padres become a major market team?
Because all the major market teams are starting to sell instead of buy.
No, but I'm serious. So, like, over the past couple seasons, they got Hosmer, Machado. Now they signed Tatis. They traded for Blake Snell. They traded for Yu Darvish. I mean,
let's face it. I'll say this is basically the next 2 seasons are basically all in for the Padres. They have to win within these next two maybe 3 seasons. It's just like your Nets.
Oh, don't remind me of that, please.
I was going to say, but I guess because they're not going to be able to pay all these guys within the next few seasons. But I guess they believe in their farm system because their farm system, has been like the number 1 in baseball for a few years now.
So I'm looking at the projected payroll already for the Padres. Do you want to take a guess what the payroll is
for this season?
For the estimated 2021 payroll for the San Diego Padres,
it's got to be about $1 billion.
It's 174 million.
170. Wait, but the contract. Oh,
I'm talking about based off of salaries. So they
based off of salary for this season.
Right, that's how they do the payroll. 174 million, which is high. That's high.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
For a team that's been in the cellar for as long as it has. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the numbers on here. Like
I said, this is basically an all-in move. I mean, they lost part of last season. I'd say they were in prime position last season, and then because they had traded for Clevenger, and then Clevenger blew his arm out right as the postseason was starting.
But I'll give you some of the numbers. Machado's at 33 million. Yu Darvish is at 23 million. Hosmer at almost 21. Will Myers is at 22.5. Like, when was the last time we saw the Padres with 5 or 6 guys in the 20 million plus range on their payroll?
I don't know. But the last time I remember 5 big stars, like that's the big stars that they're getting, probably 98 when they won the pennant. And I mean, just think about the pitching rotation that this team has. I mean, they've got Yu Darvish, they got Blake Snell, they have Clevenger who's going to be coming back. They still have Chris Paddock and Joe Musgrove and LeMay.
They're going to be good. They're going to be really good.
I'd say, and then they have Pomeranz in the bullpen, Mark Melancon in the bullpen. Can I be honest with you? I don't think I've seen a rotation as good as the Dodgers and Padres have. Like, that's it. The Dodgers and Padres have 2 of the best rotations ever in baseball. Well, I would stretch to say those 2 teams have probably the best rotations since the 98-99 Yankees.
Oh, yeah. It's for sure. We're going to hear the Padres a lot. And I'm wondering if you're actually going to see the Padres on national television a bunch this year.
I'm certain it'll be the Dodgers a bunch, the Padres a bunch, the Yankees a bunch, maybe even the Mets a bunch, considering
you know what's funny though? You know what's funny about this contract? Did you see the joke that was made between Tatis and the Mets?
What was that?
This contract is, and this is going to sound ridiculous, this contract is just going to be ending, and Bobby Bonilla is still going to be getting paid. Just saying, throwing that out there. Still getting paid.
I mean, when you think about this, think about somebody else pointed this out. I mean, this is 14 years. So let's say President Biden only serves 4 years, and then the next president only gets 4 years and gets defeated in real life. There's a possibility we could see up to 3 new presidents in the time of this contract extension.
I mean, good Lord. I mean, and I have to talk about one other quick baseball thing. Did you see what Trevor Bauer did? And
yeah, well, we'll get to that in 1 minute, but I want to make one final point here. I mean, this guy, Tatis, he deserves all the money right now and everything, but he's just giving up his free agency. When's he going to hit free agency? He's going to be in his mid-30s, high 30s. No one's going to want. How old is he now? He's probably like 20 or 21 or something.
He's the next big star in baseball, no doubt.
But he's locked himself up with the Padres unless the Padres get into so much cap trouble that they have to trade him.
He's 22. He's 22, so he's locked in until he's 36.
36.
So his career is essentially going to be on the back end when that contract's over.
Right. No, but that means he's basically a Padre for life. I mean, remember when we were talking about Trout and his extension? Because we were like, what are you going to build around this guy? Which is kind of something experimenting with here. Because basically, they're not going to be able to pay all these big stars for a long time. They got to do the next two seasons or three. They got to win at least one World Series.
Look what happened to the Angels now because they paid that money. They're a mess.
I mean, they started to get a little better, but they can't get over the hump, Trout.
But look at the Angels. So they have the Pujols contract, which they're still stuck with for another 3 to 4 years. The Trout contract, which just started a couple seasons ago, their money is locked up in those two guys, and now the Padres are now locked.
I'm saying this is a similar situation.
I'm surprised that the Padres in the pandemic would even sign, even though he's great and he's going to be a star. Look what happened to Bryce Harper. That deal is already a disaster.
No kidding. The Phillies are an absolute disaster right now, and you can't blame that all on Girardi, can you?
Well,
when you're spending all the money and nothing is working out.
Well, did you see JT Realmuto broke his thumb and he's just going to make it back before the beginning of the season?
Yep. Good job, Philadelphia management. I'd say general manager, front office there. You're doing great.
You mean Sam Fold?
Yeah, Sam Fold. So let's talk. There was this big Twitter war now. This little spat between Noah Syndergaard and Trevor Bauer because
talk about literally digging a hole, as Trevor Bauer did in a tweet.
I mean, all right. So Syndergaard posted a meme, pretty much making fun of Bauer choosing the Dodgers over the Mets. Which, let's face it, he used the Mets hook, line, and sinker completely.
Come on and beat the Mets. Beat the Mets. Yep.
So. And then Trevor basically took a bunch of screenshots of Noah Syndergaard having some negative interactions with fans and said, "Be nice to your fans, Noah." And Noah basically said, "See you at the bottom." Trevor responded,
he put a GIF of digging a hole.
Was it? What did Noah say?
I could find it. But
Noah said, "Keep digging," and Trevor said, "See you at the bottom."
That was awesome. That was amazing.
And then Noah replied, "Bring your drone or whatever."
You know what? I mean, Trevor Bauer, and I said it in a tweet, was his attitude is BS.
I think, as much as the Mets needed him, I think this is the perfect example of he wouldn't have worked in New York.
But like I was starting to say, so he's got a bullshit attitude, but at the same time, his troll game is on point. Like, if you go after him, he's going to get you.
Right, and I'm saying, like, this is exactly, why he wouldn't have worked in New York. I mean, think across town with the Yankees. We already got a potential locker room issue with Herman coming back and Britton's most recent comments.
Well, did you see that Aaron Boone, like they said, quote, his antennas were up, that from the comments from Zach Britton?
What is that supposed to mean, Aaron?
Yeah, like apparently the media said that basically Aaron Boone's antennas were up after the comments from Britton. For people who don't know, Domingo Herman had a massive issue last season where he abused two seasons ago he abused his wife.
I basically say I'll say he was a 20-game winner. As much as Nick Fodera disagrees with me, I think him and his issues potentially cost the Yankees how much further they could have gone. They could have gone Game 7 or to the World Series, I think. You had the 20-game winner.
Like I said, and like I always say, it's obviously a fallacy of a predetermined outcome. But at
the same time, the Yankees' rotation was weakened.
Yeah, I mean, if they had Herman at the potential and the rise that he was going up on, they would have had a better chance of competing. But at the same time, the guy's an asshole.
Oh, absolutely. But I'd say, and once again, sorry to go into the Yankees point on this, us being big Yankees fans, but I'd say bringing Herman back and I'd say as much as I like, the fact that they got Kluber and Taillon, all the young guys that they have, it really makes me wonder what would have happened if they had focused on the youth pitching more last season.
I don't know, but just to wrap this whole thing up, the money is huge. Tatis Jr. made a lot of money. And also the Trevor Bauer situation. I can't wait till he goes into Citi Field when there's fans allowed. That's going to be interesting.
All right, let's get to some unfortunate news. So, of course, Vincent Jackson, the former receiver, NFL receiver, passing away at 38. Alcoholism reportedly to blame, and his family claiming that he may have had CTE, which they're donating his brain, correct?
Yes, they are. Yep.
So we're going to find out one way or another if he had CTE, which for some reason I'm suspecting yes.
Well, they said that he had some kind of alcohol issues also. So, I mean, but we've heard that in the past. People who have CTE issues, they drink alcohol. They do things that are irrational because they're not acting in a normal.
It's another example of the NFL not taking care of its players after the game.
Well, yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is they found him in a hotel. The cleaning ladies found him in a hotel room. They thought he was sleeping. I mean, there's no way to actually tell if someone is sleeping. You're not going to go and like, hey, are you alive? Like, you're not going to do that. Like,
I'll say as much as I'll say Goodell is on the rise in terms of the commissioners list, but only because of Adam Silver and Rob Manfred dropping in the commissioners list.
It's not a matter of doing positive things. It's a matter of who's jumping below and below and below.
Yeah, because once again, the NFL just, again, not taking care of its stars after the game. Kind of a shame. And a really big shame there, Roger.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about another NFL story.
Oh, goody. Yay.
A move. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe the Eagles fleeced the team on Carson Wentz. I cannot believe it.
Well, I wouldn't say they got a ton back in return, but they at least.
But I mean, that giving up that massive contract and getting a third-round pick plus a second, which could become a first, and not having to give any picks up.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, so the Colts basically said, "Oh, we'll take it. Phillip Rivers is retiring. We'll take him."
Here's basically what happened with Indianapolis. So a couple of seasons ago, if you remember, they shockingly lost Andrew Luck in retirement. So they had to go through a season with Jacoby Brissett. So last season, what did they decide? Rivers and the Chargers parted ways. So they decided, you know what? Let's give Phillip Rivers a cheap deal. That way, we can give Rivers a chance to get back to the playoffs, get to potentially a Super Bowl. And we were like, Rivers is like, come on, let's team up. Let's do it. And to their credit, they made the playoffs. They put up a decent effort against Buffalo, but ended up losing in that first round. And Rivers retires. So now the Colts are in a position where, they could go back to Brissett, or they could potentially, draft a young quarterback, because there's a bunch of teams in that top 10 who need a young quarterback. So what did the Colts do? Let's go get a quarterback, another veteran quarterback who's on a crappy contract and has not seen the end of the regular season in how long. Let's take him and let's give up a third and a second and maybe even give up a first, because we're so confident that this is going to work.
You know what's great, though? Carson Wentz has been such a dumpster fire that Nick Foles had to keep coming back to bail his ass out twice.
And now he's going to a team that's going to turn into a dumpster fire.
God, the Colts are not a bad team. It's that they need the right quarterback, and I don't think Carson Wentz
is not the right quarterback. Well, let me clarify. He has all the potential to be the right quarterback, but the next time, let's face it, he's injury prone. It'll be his arm or his leg or his head. Something's going to happen in this regular season that's going to hurt the Colts and basically ruin their chances.
Yeah, I mean, this situation is bad. The QB.
I feel very happy for Jalen Hurts, because now he doesn't have to deal with that drama anymore. He is the number one quarterback in Philadelphia.
Well, I think Carson Wentz got what he wished for in the unfortunate sense, because
he got what he wished for, but there's a chance he's going to regret it. Careful what you wish for.
I mean, I'll speak about this briefly, which is and you brought this up about how we're going to talk about the QB carousel, because that's the big issue that's coming up. And we heard that Russell Wilson was kind of being a little fictitious when he was talking in interviews and basically saying, "Oh, you're going to have to ask the Seahawks if they're going to trade me." Yeah, okay, they're going to trade you, not.
All right, let's end on a funny note. So Tim Tebow, he gets a spring training invite, and then he decides, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'll retire.
So he basically is Tebowing into retirement.
Basically. So let's face it. So Tim Tebow, he signed with a minor league contract with the Mets a few seasons ago. He kind of impressed in the minor leagues, and then, as he moved up the minor league system, kind of showed that he kind of sucked.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he couldn't hit a fastball.
He could play in short season A and very low A, which I believe is now low A in this new minor league classifications.
Didn't they get rid of like very, very, very low A or something because it didn't work or whatever?
R.I.P. Staten Island Yankees.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I eventually thought, and you know what? The one thing that the Wilpons didn't fall for, and I'll give them credit, I thought the Wilpons were going to bring Tebow up just to have jersey sales. Absolutely.
Well, let's face it. They brought him into the minor league system, and the minor league teams, in an attempt to get their minor league teams, some attention. Hey, look at this guy. We got Tim Tebow.
I'm surprised they didn't bring him up into the majors just for the jersey sales.
I know. But I guess maybe the COVID pandemic plays a role here because limited capacity or no capacity at all. They didn't even have a minor league season last season. So it was kind of like, what's the point?
Well, it's funny you say minor leagues because I saw a story come out that apparently they're going to play 6-game series in the minor leagues this coming season just to avoid the travel.
but so the minor league, I was going to say.
Wait, does that mean that you should just get comfortable in a city for 6 days just because you're going to play 6 games straight?
I'll say I'm not a fan of that system, but it's kind of sad that minor leagues, it seems to be handling it better than any of the major leagues.
I mean, look what happened with the licensing issue. Remember, we saw that with all the merchandise that Major League Baseball was not paying the licensing fees for, and now they had to hold a lottery for who can be in and who can be out and all that stuff. But anyway, I digress. Is that the end of the episode?
That's it.
Right, I got one more. I need the breaking news graphic.
Oh no.
It comes from your realm of the world, actually.
MMA?
Yeah, well, UFC MMA.
Oh, so, is this the tweet that I just saw?
From Mark Raimondi?
That Luis Pena Drakkar closes off.
Yep.
COVID.
Yeah.
It seems like every week the UFC has at least one. You know what's sad? As much as they have some COVID issues every week, it seems the UFC handles COVID.
Can I make the joke that like you guys have been making that Vince McMahon would probably handle this better than everybody else?
I mean, that's a debate. I think Dana White, and the UFC, I mean, they just postponed fights, 4 weeks after a COVID positive. So I don't know if that necessarily
COVID-19. No way, damn it.
I swear we need to have a fucking system or something to determine who is the worst commissioner in all of sports right now. And I'd be very willing to have Dana White and Vince McMahon on that list. They can count.
Oh my God. I can't. I just don't know anymore.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Empty the Bench. Join us again next week. Follow us all across our socials, ETB Sports. See our Twitters down below. That'll do it for us. Nick Morgasen on Tom Albano. We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.